Welcome to Before the Bid, your connection to some of the world's best livestock sales. Stay tuned as your host, Andy Howe, takes you coast to coast, stopping along the way to talk with producers about their operation, their livestock, and of course, their upcoming sales. Let's get to it.
Welcome, livestock friends, to this Before the Bid podcast. And on this one, we are going out to Colfax, Iowa, and we are going to talk about some Angus cattle, and we're going to talk about a sale that is going to be on Angus Live, and that one is going to be on October 4th. So make sure you go down to Angus Live and check this one out. Talking to a guy, got him on the phone, and this guy and I go way back. We were talking, we think, about 25 years. I showed up there with a clipper box and things, and we got to know each other then and kept kind of in touch, seeing each other at shows and things throughout the years. And so I invited him to be on the podcast again, and he said, sure thing. So I appreciate him doing that. And a young man that comes from a 70-year history on the same farm, raising these Angus cattle and doing very, very well and having a lot of success. And we're going to talk about some of those things. And he is going to offer 8 of them to you here on this Angus Live sale. So look forward to talking about those. I've looked at the videos and pictures of these things, and man, you're going to want to hear about them because they're really good, and you're going to want to keep on with their success story that they have done. So on the phone with me, I have Craig Moffitt again from Colfax, Iowa. Craig, I want to welcome you to the podcast, man.
Yeah. How are you, sir?
Hey, I am doing really good, and really excited about having you on here, and good to get back in touch with you.
Yeah. You said 25 years. Boy, I think we had different haircuts about that long ago.
I think, I gotta say, I wasn't going to say this, but our hairstyle is just about the same now. I think maybe, honestly, I kept a little bit more than you did, but
it just keeps going. I don't know what's happening. I sent a guy the Snapchat the other day. I went ahead and I used to use one guard on the sides and a different one on top, and I just sucked it up. It just did the whole thing one way. I feel like a new man.
I do the same thing. So, yeah, we do. We got the same hairstyle. So, Craig, you guys been at this thing 70 years, and if you would, kind of tell us where you got started, how you got started, Grandpa got this thing started, and a little bit lead us up to who's involved in today's world of Moffitt Angus.
Okay, 70 years, my grandpa Maurice. He originally was a very big advocate of the show cattle industry and just really good Angus cattle. And long story, when he originally was picking out heifers for us, I always thought it was crazy. He would find me a show heifer for county fair, and he would say, I go, where are you going, Grandpa? And he goes, North Dakota. And I go, why would you go clear up there? And he goes, they got good ones. And I go, okay. And I didn't know any better, and I didn't even know 10 years after it happened where they were really coming, but he was picking out show heifers from shops.
Oh, yeah.
And he would come back, and it'd be kind of a secret because he's paying pretty good money. They were $5,000 heifers.
Mm-hmm. Right. In those days, that was big.
Oh, that was a big time thing.
Right.
And then we just kind of built on it from there, and the passion kind of passed through for my dad, Larry, and he's still involved today in his mid to upper 70s. He's slowing down quite a bit. So then we started showing cattle pretty seriously, and we purchased good of cows as we could find, did some IVF work, and just kind of spun down the spiral ever since, just having a blast.
Right. You guys are also farming on the side as well.
Yep, we have row crop, we have corn and beans. We raise everything that we feed on our farm comes from our own machinery, our own land.
Oh, wow.
So I make my own rations. We raise our own oats, our own corn, and our own beans. Of course, the beans don't go in the mix, but as the seasons change and the cattle develop differently, it's hard for me to go to town to buy a bag of feed when I can adjust it as the cattle need it.
Right.
It takes a lot more time. It'd be easier to just make a phone call and have it dumped off, but I like to micromanage them as much as I can, and I think it pays off pretty well.
Right. Well, why don't you tell us a little about Mom and Dad and about your family?
So my parents, Mary and Larry, they've been together forever, high school sweethearts, grew up in Des Moines. And as my grandfather purchased the land out here, then they came out as well. They have 5 siblings. I'm the youngest of the 5. There is my oldest brother, Monty, and my sister, Joni, another brother, Brian, another sister, Julia, and myself, Craig. Everyone else in the family kind of has different jobs and incomes, but still really stays involved and has a passion for our own Moffitt Angus brand. I've had my own kids and my wife as well, my wife Jessica, and then I have a daughter Jillian and a son James. Jillian's shown a little bit lately, and James is eager to start as well, but we don't really force the kids into it. If they want to, they can show, but I'm not going to make them do it.
Right. Now, Joni, she's out here in Indiana.
Yes, yep. She is out there with Tim Fitzgerald helping on a free Fitzgerald farm.
Mm-hmm. And Brian, let's mention this. Brian, now he was in the Army, is that right?
Yep, he was in the Army, and he's actually recently retired. He went in high school, and he had really a distinguished career. He was a teacher for quite a while, and he's very military, very strict, but he's happy right now being a young retired guy.
Right. Well, that's awesome. And, of course, always want to thank those guys for their service and what they do for us. So, right. And Monty, he's been around as well.
Yep. Instrumental on a lot of our breeding decisions, and he helped pick out a lot of show heifers that I showed and how we kind of built our herd up. He works in a transportation deal now. He's working at a trucking firm. And my other sister, Julia, she teaches currently in Des Moines at a larger school. She's teaching a kind of a new thing for high schools, but she works with web developing in school and kind of a social media teacher.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, teaches kids some pretty neat stuff.
Oh, that would be neat. Yeah, that's great. We could use some of her students, I think.
Yeah.
The way it sounds, maybe she could teach you a thing or two about some of that technology stuff.
Yeah, I know. We were struggling a little bit earlier, but I got it figured out. I'm getting there.
That's good. Do you guys rely on her quite a bit? Hey, we really need to do this for whatever
No,
media
actually, she does some. Everybody has a little input. She's very creative. So she helps do the little stuff and placing things here and there that dress things up a little bit. But my wife, she really helps on the marketing and even the Facebook. Not like to admit this, but she likes to edit a lot of things that I put on there. But that's her job as well, and it does look better and reads better. But I think I got a little better grade in college, but she's kind of advanced that into her master's now, so she's kind of got me beat.
Oh, that's good. You talked about doing some ET work and some IVF and things like that. That helped you get there, and you've changed your philosophy a little bit. If you would kind of talk us through that.
So when we started out, we flushed multiple cows, and it just helped us build our herd. We didn't try to sell a lot of those females, and we just developed a lot of females and using that tool early on. Since then, IVF, and it is still a good tool to guarantee you to get multiple females out there and whatnot, but I think you kind of lose focus of the cow-calf operation as a whole. Mm-hmm. So a lot of folks will have 5 donor cows and then a large trans-ova herd. Mm-hmm. Well, you don't really have an idea of how that cow will produce in regards to how your own donor will, her udder or your cow herd, how their feet are going to work and the conditions and the snow, the ice, the mud, and even the heat that we get now. Mm-hmm. I think you lose focus of these show heifers are more long-term animals than they are short-term terminal just on the tan bark.
Mm-hmm. So you've lessened that a little bit is what you're saying?
Yeah, we don't rely on it nearly at all. We put in 20 embryos a year just to kind of guarantee that we'll have some females. Mm-hmm. But typically they may be the best ones, they might not be. In the last few years, it's nice that we don't have to rely on that because then it gives our cow herd a better chance. Because to be quite honest, if I put in embryos in a registered cow, and we've had it before where that full-bred calf has outsold the embryo calf from the year before. Mm-hmm. I was you scratch your head there because it was a $12,000 heifer, ET first round. Right. And then I brought the cow up to the show barn because I really liked that calf, and I let our herd bull breed it. The next year, that was a $15,000 calf on that recip side. So, yeah.
Interesting how that works out, isn't it?
Yeah, but that kind of opened up my eyes. You know, not all these need flushed, and it really helps with the sales, too, that we just don't limit ourselves to one cow line.
Right.
So you can offer multiple things to people, and it's just not the same thing year in and year out.
Right. And you guys are a decent-sized herd as well, so you're not just breeding on 10 or 15 of them. You guys are breeding on quite a few.
Yeah, we breed over 100 cows a year. Almost all of them either very, like I mentioned, not a lot get embryos put in, but nearly all of them get AI'd, and
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty well year round. We take some time off, but there's always some. There's a few falls. There's some Januaries all the way to Mays. Not many summer months in there. That's when our bulls take care of things for us. But yeah, it's. I think if the more you can put your time and effort into taking care of your cattle and micromanaging them, the dividends sure pay off.
Right. I absolutely agree with that. So yeah, you like to get them there to know what they're going to be when you're going to sell them to these folks.
Yes, yep. We try to make them produce for us first.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times I'll almost raise a heifer out of that cow and then see what it does in our own feedlot and our own pasture. And then if I really like it in August when it's never had a halter on, then I start to focus on her calf for the next year for the sale.
Right. Absolutely. So what are you looking for in the future then? And I'm going to get back to that many cows and breeding that way, but what are your future goals and what are you guys working towards? Do you want to stay with the show cattle thing? Do you want to branch off and do a few other things? What's your thoughts on that?
I think our passion will always be with the show cattle. I mean, it's just in me. We'll stay there and try to be as competitive as we can for as long as we're willing.
Right.
I've always had a goal in mind to try to take a pen of bulls to Denver,
Mm-hmm.
or even elaborate off of that to have a bred heifer sale.
Mm-hmm.
I think it kind of goes hand in hand. And even this year that we decided to keep a really good bull for my daughter to show as a bred known bull. And so we can help promote him and then use him as a breeding tool and advertising to have bred heifers to sell.
Sounds like a great goal, and that leads me into the next thing. Well, you mentioned you breeding over 100 cows. Why are you only selling 8 or 10 a year in the lower numbers?
I really enjoy working with the families, and I feel like if my numbers are too big, then you don't give them a fair chance.
Mm-hmm.
If I show up to a show, or my chances of being at a show are greater with the smaller numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I try to go anywhere I can to service these cattle, and typically it's me or one other guy.
Mm-hmm.
You just get the most effort out of me or someone else rather than I send my other group to you, and then there's just no conflict in between.
So trying to keep up the best job that you absolutely can with everything
Yeah,
else that you have going on.
and I don't want to make my sale a judging contest either when you show up.
Mm-hmm.
I could sell sisters to some of these or some lesser animals, but doing an online sale, the first few years I did it, the most nerve-wracking thing in the sale was I was scared a heifer was going to sell somewhere and someone was never going to lay eyes on it and just bid. Well, it happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to be absolutely certain that all these cattle in this sale can go anywhere in America and they will be happy with their purchase.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we all can make one look really good clipping it and in the video and make all the lighting right, but I don't want to have that stigma that we're not selling an inferior product for too much money. I want to be certain that there's no questions asked when that calf gets to their place if they didn't have a chance to see it.
Right. Wow, that's great. I really enjoy that thought and that philosophy and your customer service with that as well.
We've had a lot of compliments on it as well, and that's how we retain a lot of people. And whether it brings 3,500 or 35,000, you're going to get my full effort.
Right. Oh, that's awesome. So that leads me to the next thing. You've got the daughter that's showing as well.
Yes.
And so you've got these cattle that you've sold, you've got her showing, and of course you want to be competitive with her.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do for these people that have bought these animals versus your daughter showing?
We decided early on that she will only show bred knowns. So the heifers that you're going to see in the sale, I will never have a heifer show against them in class in a national junior show. She'll show bred knowns, whether it be steers, bulls, or in the spring heifer shows. We have bought in some fall borns, but we don't sell typically many falls to compete against those.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of gives us a different area of the show. So in a sense, then I'll be available to fit or to work on or guide you into the ring with your spring project in the own show and have like I mentioned, my full attention at that point in the show.
Right, right. And have her show some bred knowns. And you guys have gotten along pretty well with those bred knowns as well.
Yeah, she's had a blast. First year, she was really top of her class. In her second year, she was reserve division and got her first belt buckle at her first show. And there's a lot of kids out there. And I told her, I go, that's really big. I was really happy you won class. To be reserve division was even better. There's multiple kids that don't get to do either one of those things. So be happy that you did it early. It's tough to do.
Right. Absolutely. I just think that's great. And you guys have had a lot of success with the cattle that you've sold, whether it be in the ring or whether it be going to those guys to breed on, or both, with quite a few of them.
Yeah, that's probably the most gratifying thing of anything we do is I really like to see the cattle go out and perform for other people. This year at Junior Nationals, the third overall heifer was a daughter of a past purchase of ours, and just like a lot of our own cows, it was natural calf off the cow as well. So that kind of even sweetened up the deal that cattle in production raising their own milking abilities can get the job done. And we've had one that also, the reserve grand champion overall, was descended out of one of our lines as well. The one family, the Collison families, had just multiple success with nearly every animal they purchased from us. Lately, they've had the Forbes Bull, Silveris Forbes, who won Oklahoma City, doing really well in the bull stud as well. They had a supreme champion out of a Georgina purchased from here at the Iowa Beef Expo. And then another family, the Perfest family in Minnesota. I wouldn't even want to quote how many times the daughter out of that one cow won their state fair. I asked before the Angus tour, and I don't want to mistake it, but it was at least 10 or 15 daughters have been grand or reserve at the Minnesota State Fair.
Oh,
just
wow.
Doing awesome.
Yeah.
Doing awesome. I don't want to ever guarantee you that you're going to win here with the calf that you're going to buy. I want you to be competitive, but I can almost assure you that they're going to produce.
Right.
That's kind of where we want to be.
And so to go along with that, you're going to stand behind them 100%.
Yes, yeah, they're all guaranteed to breed.
Right. That's excellent. Been seeing on some of those online deals that we don't guarantee that, and I'm kind of like, whoa, boys.
Be careful.
Right. Absolutely. I think that's a great thing. And you guys started with some of that success, and we kind of talked a little bit earlier. Some of that goes back to one cow that you kind of wanted to highlight.
Yeah, back when I was wrapping up my junior career, originally our purchase that helped propel us was our purchase from Steve Patton at Roth Angus in South Dakota. She was a Roth Forever Lady 2706, an EXT daughter. And like I mentioned before, like the Forbes Bull and several state fair champions have came out of her.
Mm-hmm.
You name it. I've sold an embryo to a family, and it was a 26-time Iowa Junior Beef Breed champion and just swept the circuit.
Oh, wow.
Any bull that we put her on just seemed to click.
Mm-hmm.
And he really helped propel us to where we are today. And it was a lot of good things about that animal, too, that I learned a lot of things about just cattle in general and really helped me. She was a different animal. Just before her time, she wasn't the hairiest.
Mm-hmm.
She was long-sided. She was perfect uddered. Awesome feet. We never trimmed her feet. And then an EXT to boot. And that bull, if not everyone knows, he's kind of the dude in the Angus breed.
Right.
I don't know if there was 50,000 daughters in production or some obscene number, but she might have been one of the best ones.
Mm-hmm. Right. And so you guys have gone off of her and just gone on to produce other, I guess, a larger line of families from her and had a lot of success with them.
Yeah, we had several hot rod daughters that worked well. There was some pit bosses, Lutons, Traveler 004. Back to the embryo work, if that cow, the first time we ever did her IVF, there was 70 ovocytes. And so you had to have a big check ready to go when you flex, because she could put them out.
Holy cow.
Yes.
That's awesome. And she did it time and time and time again.
Yes, yeah. Oh, if I look at my inventory now, it's still deep.
Oh, wow. That's
Still
awesome.
Deep. And she lived to be 19 years old on our farm.
Oh, my gosh. One of those that just stayed there till the end?
Yes, yeah. She didn't have to go anywhere. You didn't have a calf for the last few years, but it was okay.
Just leave her out there and let her be, right?
Yep.
I was at a place the other day, and they said, yeah, that's this cow, and she can do whatever she wants.
Yeah. Doesn't owe us anything. I
Right.
think in our lifetime, we've averaged, and that's from early on selling to not crazy numbers like a lot of folks get, but she averaged 10,000 as a whole, every calf we ever sold out of her.
Oh, wow. So one of those you do keep around.
Oh yeah, just easy. I kind of feel a little bad for my donor cow, but this is one of the few sales that there isn't a daughter out of her. I usually have one in there no matter what, but we just didn't have one this year.
Probably have progeny out of her descendants ready to go here at some time and have in the past as well.
Oh yeah, there
Absolutely.
always is. There's always a handful of her daughters in the pasture, and there always will be.
Right. That's awesome. Craig, tell us a little about this sale. It is on Angus Live, October 4th. And are you guys doing an open house, or how can we come see these cattle if we want to see them in person and not on the podcast video or on Walton Webcasting or anything like that? But where else can we see some things about this or get some information about you?
You know, we've done open houses in the past. I guess it's open house every day.
Okay.
I'm always around these cattle from right now till sale day.
Mm-hmm.
Available anytime. If you give me an hour notice or so, I can make sure that I'm here, and if I'm checking on something else, that I can be here to serve you. But yeah, if you just give me a call, my cell phone, 515-991-3056, I'll be here to show you around.
Okay. Yeah, and we can Moffitt Angus on Facebook as well.
Yep. And I'm on Snapchat as well. Not sure of my handle, so you might have to find me. Like we mentioned earlier, my technology's not great, but
Trying to look at it now, I think it's just Craig Moffitt. I think that's how I found you. Yeah, it's just Craig Moffitt there on
easy enough.
Snapchat. I'm not a great Snapchatter either, so I would guess that's your handle. Craig0482. Look at me go.
There it is.
There it is. Yeah, and I got it as your name, so I don't know if it's because it's in my I'm not a great Snapchatter either, so. But we made it work through Snapchat, didn't we?
Yeah. I actually really like the tool. If a lot of people like other videos of the cattle,
Right.
besides the ones we put out, some of these are going to change before sale day. And if you want to see a quick video, actually Snapchat's the best thing, I think, for it.
Okay.
So if you add me on there, if you just give me a little request of a lot, I can run outside real quick and give you today's look of her.
Right.
Or him.
Right, or him, yeah, or him.
Yeah.
In this one. So, yeah, and, it is on Angus Live, and by the time this comes out, it will be live on Angus Live, so you can see all the videos, you can see the pictures, follow down through there with us if you'd like, if you're not watching a podcast video. A lot of ways that you can get a hold of these cattle and see these things. And Craig, man, I am excited about this set. You've had a lot of success in the past and sold some that gone on to do very well, and I think you got another great lineup here with this one for the October 4th Angus Live sale. Man, let's just get into them. We got this lot 1. Lot 1 is the 2202, and it's a February 24 carat.
Yeah, we weren't really hiding. We didn't mix match the sale order up too much, but this one's pretty special. When you walk out in the pen, you just can't help but just stop and look at her. She is square on every corner, puts her feet down perfectly, no tone out, none of that business. Stands on a big foot. Her leg is just straight enough that you could have hair or no hair, and you can make it look great. She flexes good when she goes. She's got awesome muscle. And when she stops, it just rare as can be that her neck is tight and it comes into a sweet silhouette, and her body shape's good as well. I'm really, really high on that heifer. And then building back on her, like I mentioned, the Reserve Grand Champion heifer at the Junior Nationals stems back to this Ellie line of this recent Junior Nationals 2022 for the Clark family. 2 years before that, the Sullivan family also showed an Ellie that was Grand Champion of the National Junior Show as well.
Oh, wow.
There's not a lot of these out there. I think it's going to get pretty popular. They sell really well. I was standing ringside with Chris Cassidy, and boy, he goes, that is a show heifer when we were seeing the Clark heifer, and it really stamps them into this line.
Oh, she is. It's really cool, and everything you said. Man, when she stops, she's like, I know I'm pretty good.
Exactly, yeah. But she's got a good temperament, too. She's broke to lead. She's really, really salty.
Absolutely. And a February 24 carat, boy, she is really, really nice.
Mm-hmm. The 24 carat back on a Paradox, a Plum Creek Paradox. Previous to that is a Leachman Sagahachi.
Oh, yeah.
All the look on that old Sagahachi coming through and that head and neck. And then the 24 carats really worked well for us. And I think there's a lot of good in that cow. And even beyond that 24 carat, that 419 is a really solid producer for those folks in Indiana.
Right. Absolutely. The lot 2, we go to the 2280. She's an April Primo with that one name that everybody likes to hear. She's a Sandy.
Yes, yes. This one, when she comes out and she can just give you a heck of a look. I really like how this one ties into her chest floor, blends that all the way into a really neat throat latch. Not so tight that she's not going to feed. And you can see that in her. She's soft in her center body. She's level in her top line. And you get looking down at her feet, and they are so big and they're so square. And I mentioned to you earlier, these Sandies are so hot. There was the Conley family in Oklahoma is doing really well with them. The Seldom Rest program is doing exceptional with them as well. They're a different kind of animal. They kind of just, they look like show heifers. They grow hair on demand. I've never seen anything like it. This one, I got to reclip her tomorrow again. She's really fun to be around.
Uh-huh. And really good.
Oh, I think this one has, I think all of them definitely have breeding potential, but if you want to make one a donor, I think it's pretty easy to start with the Sandy.
Absolutely.
This one definitely has some breeding capabilities to her, and you can really, if you're wanting to build a bred known herd or make something new for your sale, I think this one can really help a guy out.
Right. And how many of these primos have just been terrorizing the neighborhoods?
Oh, and boy, I think it was a bad rumor that they can't make cows because they are here.
Right.
And they're producing as well. The heifer, Primo daughter, produced the Iowa Beef Expo Supreme Champion this year. So they're just starting to get going, and I would kind of pay attention to that bull for years to come yet.
Right, absolutely. And got a good one, Primo Sandy there. The lot 3, we go to 2206. She's a March 24 carat, and she's kind of got a pedigree as well.
Yep. She is a 24 carat out of a Classen that originates from Cherry Knoll, and then came from Cherry Knoll. They purchased her from Keneally's out in Nebraska. Both those places I just have a ton of respect for. Cherry Knoll, they did so well in the show ring, and Keneally's it should be on everyone's radar. That's just the cow herd of America. This one, her mother was an outlier for that place, being a kaboom. And this heifer, she is so balanced. She has a little longer muscle pattern in her. Really good in her top line. Really good feet as well. Gets out and travels with a long step. Covers her track. When she stops, she's got a great silhouette. Good in her throat latch. Really good through her hip line. We really think a lot of this heifer. The lots 1, 2, and 3, I mean, you can go any direction. It's a pick your poison of which one you like the best.
Mm-hmm.
This one's really, really good as well.
Right. I don't think poison would be the right term for that. Pick your good one. Pick your good one and go with it.
Everyone says if you like what you do, you never work a day in your life, and this group is that. It's fun to come and check on these in the morning and start working on them, and I think the world of this group. I think whoever gets one, I think you're going to be really happy with any one of these in this sale.
Absolutely, do not disagree one bit. We're starting off great, and we don't we don't go down anymore with this lot 4. The lot 4, the 2201, the January 24 carat.
Yeah, she's super good as well. Really angular heifer. Awesome rib shape in this one. When you stand from the side and 30 feet away, I think that's where this one shines. A lot of shows, the bigger rings, the National Junior Angus shows, the Oklahoma Cities, the judges don't get as up on them as well. And so you need that little longer pattern, longer sided, deeper centered, and then have that really long front third to go with it as well. In a January, I think to have that fresh look about her when she travels and when she stops, to have that long front third, have the body, I think that really can work well. This line has done awesome for us as well. The Rosebud, her mother, just kind of getting into production. She won the Minnesota State Fair. Super competitive all year when we showed her in the junior shows. Really easy doing, deep, awesome soundness. The only issue with her was that she wasn't, we'd like to make her a little bit bigger, would like to clean up her throat, and boy, we really hit it out of the park with this one on those two things.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you look at this one, you don't think she's a January. She is so fresh and so cool.
Yep.
Up in that, man, she's another good one. We go again. Now we got a Primrose here in this lot 5, the 2211 heifer. She's a March 24 carat.
Yes, Primrose, 24 carat out of an EXT cow. The EXT mentioned earlier, they just make phenomenal cows. And that's how this one is too. She's not as hairy as some of the other ones in the sale. Not quite yet.
Mm-hmm.
But boy, doesn't have a hole in her. You watch her come toward you, watch her come away from you. She's square on all four. She's got enough body. You get behind her, her thickness is there. Front third's awesome as well. And just as I mentioned earlier, having that EXT right there in that pedigree is about 100% guaranteed that that thing will make a cow.
Right. How many great ones has he made that we talked about earlier?
Yes, I like to have them that way when I breed cattle, to have something that's more traditional and almost guaranteed like an EXT, and then to use a first class descendant rather than to line them up totally. A lot of folks line those cattle up multiple times in a row, and your breeding options just go away.
Mm-hmm.
With a heifer like this, you have multiple things you can go at her with in the future.
Right.
I think her time is more, she'll show well, but I think in production, I think you can pay more dividends.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, with the cows and the bulls back there behind her for the production end of it. Yeah, and she's not a non-show heifer by any stretch of the imagination, in
Oh, no,
my
no, no.
opinion.
He's coming on.
Absolutely. Another really good one. The lot 6, we go to a little bit younger than what we have been talking about. We've got an April Nexus female here, the 2225.
Nexus is a bull of ours, and bred pretty neat. He is a turning point out of an insight back to a full sister to Gamble's Hot Rod.
Oh, yeah.
So like I mentioned, I like to have them, the turning points, I kind of consider it a Montana bred,
Mm-hmm.
and then transition it more into the show cattle world, but it blended really good. And the numbers on the cattle on him are exceptional too. Then the Alicia cow, she's really nice as well. This is out of a first calf heifer. So this one's pretty green, but her
Mm-hmm.
pattern's awesome. The drought here kind of put some of these younger first calf heifers behind, but this one just, I thought she needed to be in the sale. I love her bone work. I love her foot size. Her front end's good. Not everybody needs to start out with a heifer that's ready to go.
Right. Absolutely.
A lot of folks, they want to know what to feed, and they like to feed them.
Mm-hmm.
The hardest thing to do with these show heifers is to not feed them.
Right.
Everyone likes to put a scoop or two in and be happy. Their cows are happy. They're happy. And John Davis told me a long time ago, your cattle look better as they're gaining.
Right.
So a heifer that in time, the ceiling's high. She's just going to keep getting better as you feed her. She's not nearly there as some of the other ones we mentioned before. But like I said, her neck set, her bone, her foot, her body, she'll get there.
Absolutely. Absolutely good one. We go to the lot 7. We got the youngest female here in the sale, the 2281. She's a May style out of the Rosebud.
Yes, this one, we've had multiple sisters do really good out of this line. Long story short, a friend of mine bought the dam of this female for $5,000.
Mm-hmm.
We like this story.
This is going to be a good one, I can tell.
Yeah, so he bought her, and he's done nothing but breed her to style.
Uh-huh.
$5,000 initial purchase. Those calves have averaged a little over 12,000 apiece.
Oh, my gosh.
And so she's just knocking them out of the park, raising them each time. It's been really fun, and the cattle have gone on to win big things too. We were reserve supreme champion at the Kansas Beef Expo in the big heifer division, so she made it all the way through. That same heifer won some as well at the Futurity, did well at the National Junior Angus Show. Then we had another daughter that last year was our top seller, and she went on to be reserve division champion of the calves in Oklahoma City. And that's no easy feat there to get that. Then we had another that she was reserve at a few big jackpot shows in Missouri, and just had a blast with her as well. And that family's ecstatic on the job she's doing as a cow. When she calved, everyone's happy with their udders and the way they're moderate built and they're easy fleshing, but they raise a nice calf. This one, she's a little behind on age compared to her sisters. Since the cow is so consistent, they fleshed her. So we have a May heifer here that just doesn't have the time in the wash rack and the hair work yet. But this one I'm going to bet on. If you see her picture day and you come sale day, you're going to wonder, why isn't this one higher?
Mm-hmm.
Why her picture and video don't add up, but when you see her in person, I guarantee you sale day, she's going to change. This thing, they really do it. When she stops, she's elegant through her shoulder and her head. She's level in her top line. Good bone work, wide built. Just needs a little bit more hair to make everything kind of come together, but a really nice female as well.
Right. Yeah, and you add all the style and the stoutness on this one, and yeah, if she's still green, boy, look out.
Yeah, and just like I said, the way those other ones have turned out, and the way they kind of keep coming as they age, it's a kind of a no-brainer.
Right. Yeah, and it all started from a $5,000 purchase from you guys.
They don't all have to sell high.
Right. Absolutely. I like those stories. So we got the heifer division over with, and again, 7 high quality females that put them in a hat and shake them out, and whichever one lands, why you're going to be absolutely happy with them. And you can go so many different ways on those and be fine and be competitive. And then we add this steer into this mix, and holy cow, this guy's good.
My initial thoughts were we were going to sell 2. And just like I mentioned earlier, I just wanted to sell the best one.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone questioned because my daughter showed a steer last year. Are you going to show an Angus steer? Are you going to show against us? And I said, no, we're only selling 1, and this is the one. This is the steer. If I could pick one out, I would show. Last year we had as much fun with a family showing. And I've had some big wins I've won Denver and Fort Worth and Kansas City. National Junior Angus show, took home tons of banners from there. But I tell you what, this steer we showed last year with my daughter, it might have been the most fun we've ever had.
That's awesome.
Showed him 14 times. He was champion 13 of those, and I think 7 or 8 top 5s. Filled a wall full of banners. And everyone wondered, how do you do that with an Angus steer? Well, there's only so many that can make it into the Grand Drive or the Crosses or the Mains and the Keys. And these Angus, if they have that extra look and they're extra special for an Angus, they'll make it.
Right.
And it's fun when you do. And this calf, he's got those parts. When he gets out and you look at him, his foot size is huge. He's really good haired as well, really fuzzy ears, and he's a good gentle calf as well. When you get behind him, he's leveling his top line. He's got enough body. I think this calf's got a ton of future.
Oh my gosh. And when this sucker, when he stops, he's ready.
Oh, the best part about it, having a young child show, or even when I sell to younger people or any showman, when they can plant those front 2 square and walk into it with the show side leg back, kind of just built into their brain like it's bred into them, it makes it fun to show them. Right. And this calf does that. There's no twisting up front. His feet and angles are good. Everyone that saw him, like I said, we had a lot of success last year with the steer, and this one from the gate, he's probably better.
Oh my, this thing's good. He's going to terrorize the neighborhood somewhere.
Like I mentioned, I would love to show him, but we're selling this dude, and we really hope that somebody gets him and has the time that we did as a family, and we're just looking forward to seeing this calf go on down the road.
Right. And you guys sticking with him as well, like we talked about earlier.
Yep. I'll follow along as much or as little as you want me to. I'm really good with teaching young kids the basics of fitting, or if you just want to step back and let us do it, we sure can. We've had a lot of fun with the junior kids and progressing them through their showmanship skills. Boy, I've had kids win National Junior Angus Show, the Iowa Beef Expo, the Iowa State Fair. It's really neat to see kids when you can teach them the little things, and a year or two you work with them, and then they go into a showmanship contest, and they just kind of know that they're going to do well, and they don't win them all, but they're successful at it, and they're more confident, and I think you can build off of that going forward with kids and their jobs and their internships. I think the show cattle thing's got a lot of perks to it.
Absolutely. Responsibility, hard work, disappointments, praises, success.
I just had a talk with a family about their kids today when they were looking at this group, and they mentioned how their daughter loves to be in the barn and likes to work on them, and they don't have to push her to do that. And then I mentioned to them, their daughter's only 11, so it's a long time from now. And I go, I bet when she gets to college, she doesn't miss a class.
Right.
Because she's in the barn every day working on this calf. They don't tell her to do it. She goes out and does it. You just know kids like that have this ability, and if they have a nice calf to work on, it helps as well. But I think that they can build on that and be successful.
Absolutely agree with that. Craig, man, it was good catching up with you. Anything else we need to know about these cattle, about this sale, anything like that?
No, I think we're good. Like I mentioned, there's not a lot of numbers,
right?
But like I said, there's reasons for that. We sell the best ones we have. We're confident in them. They can go anywhere in America and be competitive. Whether or not you want me to fit them or not, I'll help as much as or little as you want me to, and it just doesn't end there. We'll go ahead and help you on breeding decisions as long as you own that cow. We'll make sure that success comes one way or the other.
And also some of the marketing things, you guys have turned around and helped them with that as well.
Yes, yep. If a lot of folks don't have a sale, or if they take their purchase home from us and they get some calves and they just don't really have anywhere to go with them, we will help them market those calves. If they make it to this sale, or if we do sell them, help them sell them privately later on, we'll work with you as well.
Right. That's awesome. Again, Angus Live, October 4th, the Moffitts, over 70-year history with Angus cattle and raising these Angus cattle and selling Angus cattle. And so you got a lot of history. Just look at the success stories, look at what they've done here in the past, and not just themselves, but what they've sold or helped produce and the lines that come off of those. And Craig, man, I just admire what you guys do and admire the success that you guys have, and, you know, just that you're humble enough to talk to a guy like me on a podcast. I appreciate it, man.
No, like I mentioned, I wanted to, with the way the world works, to put your voice out there, and a trustworthy voice is, and then that's kind of something I live by, and I don't like to embellish on anything. If I'm a humble guy, trustworthy guy, and I think this is a good thing so people can understand that.
Absolutely. I appreciate you being a part of it, man.
Thank you.
All right. Again, October 4th, Angus Live, Moffitt Angus. Look for those 8 lots that are very, very high quality. We want to thank you for listening to another edition of Before the Bid Podcast.